Welcome to Off Brand by Cocokind. I'm Priscilla Tsai, Cocokind's founder and CEO, and each week I get into the real, unfiltered side of building a brand alongside our community and creating substantive beauty products. We don't believe in trying to be anyone but ourselves, and we don't think you should either. So come along as we get real and imperfect, go deeper on topics most beauty companies won't, and get a bit off brand. Hi everyone, welcome back to Off Brand by Cocokind. Today we are going to do an Ask Me Anything episode. I have a list of 45 questions here and we're just going to try to get to as many as possible. Thank you so much to all those that put your questions in our forums and Instagram stories on both my channel as well as the brand's channel. I will continue to answer any of the questions that we don't get to today, and we'll continue to get your questions out there. And thank you so much for giving us these ideas of things that we need to educate on or that you're curious about, whether it's on product, our brand, our company, founder life, and everything in between. So that is what today's topic is going to be. Before we do that, let's actually just do a little general update. So by the time this comes out, I think we will have 6, maybe 7 of our New York community brand trip attendees announced. And we are getting really close. We are basically like 6 weeks away from New York. So not only are we close on just finalizing who's coming, but we're also getting really knee deep in all the New York City planning. So I don't want to give too much away yet, but this is the time where our team is locking down like every single little detail to make sure that the weekend goes smoothly. And there's so much to do in New York. So we're trying to make sure we're paying homage to New York and all of its iconicness, as well as Cocokind, as well as our community and everything. So we're really excited about that. I think this week is also big because unfortunately our Ulta end cap came down. That was sad. I went into a store and we actually thought it was going to be a week longer than it was, but turns out that there was like some shuffles on their planograms and basically it ended up being taken down 1 week earlier than we thought. So basically we ended up being on this end cap for 3 weeks and we did well. Definitely saw a lift in our sales because of the end cap. I'd say when all is said and done, we have to look at the numbers though, because like I said, it was a really big investment in dollars and time and resources. And we have to see like if there's anything we can do better next time to get a bigger lift. Is there ways that we could make the execution stronger? There are all these things that, when we have these big milestones, of course we celebrate, but we also are always thinking about like, how do we make this better next time and even more worth our dollars? Because, we just don't take lightly spending dollars like that. It's so expensive to do an end cap. And so we always look at the trade-off, like what else could we be spending that money on? And if we're going to choose to spend something on it, like we have to make sure we're spending every single dollar wisely as a company. We're not a company with huge profit margins. We're not a company that just has all this room to play on marketing and retail space like that. We have to be really mindful of it because of our accessible pricing or more accessible pricing compared to other options at the same cost base. So for us, really looking at every single dollar, whether it's the dollars that go into a product or all the dollars we put outside of the product for our company or for our marketing, for selling, like all that stuff, like we have to be really, really mindful and responsible to make sure that we are investing in the right places that benefit our business and the overall ecosystem as much as possible. So spending $150,000 on, an end cap and the displays and the products and all that stuff that go into it, like it's a really big deal. And we need to look at it and be really critical. If we're going to do it again, that we get even more out of it, or we look at it and we figure out like what could be improved for the next time so that we see a better return. So I would say it was good in terms of the overall like bottom line return, but it wasn't great. And we still have a little bit of digging into just to kind of diagnose it a little bit further. But one thing is for sure, we had so much support from all of you for our brand end cap. And I never take that lightly because, walk into an Ulta store, there are hundreds and hundreds of brands, and we are certainly not the biggest. We are certainly not the ones that have the most amount of dollars, and we're not the flashiest. And so for anyone to go into a store and to drive to an Ulta store and to look for our end cap, it really truly means a lot. It really was exciting to have it be our first brand end cap. And I would say from a community standpoint, I couldn't have imagined it went better because we just saw so many of you going out to stores, even helping us like fix the shelves and find the products and get them in stock. And it really means a lot. I don't take that for granted. What's really exciting is that in a week from now, we actually have this thing called a side cap going live at Target. I actually saw a picture that somebody in our community sent to me, and some stores actually have this live already. And it's this most gorgeous piece of work. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to see it. It is so beautiful. The side cap of just pure Cocokind ceramide lip blur balms, and it is beautiful. The team executed it perfectly. The ops team did so much to make this happen. The marketing and the brand team designed something that's like so simple and yet so freaking beautiful. So that also is our first time we've ever done something like that at Target. And we're really grateful. Being a business at Target right now is not the easiest. And especially being an independent brand where a lot of our customers are saying, I'm not shopping at Target right now. And, I get it. I totally understand that. I wish we weren't here. And of course, as a brand, you don't have any control over things like that and the decisions that they make, but it is difficult. And so I really don't take for granted any opportunities we get there. I don't know. It's kind of like a weird situation because I feel like we are, for sure being impacted by all the decisions that Target has made, especially on the rolling back DEI. At the same time, as like a minority owned business, like when I get opportunities from Target, like I also feel really grateful. And I know that that doesn't just exist automatically. And I know that if we didn't create all this hype around our lip blur balms, like they wouldn't have given us that opportunity. Let's be very real about that. That was us doing well with our product and having all these great reviews and all these community people like just really talking about our lip balms that got our team's attention there at Target, and they gave us this opportunity. They really are betting on us. They're betting on our lip blur balms. And of course, we'll take that opportunity because we have a business that historically has been really dependent on Target. And like I said, it's suffering this year. And I've personally felt like it's been kind of difficult to figure out like how to talk about Target in this current moment. And I don't want anybody to feel pressure to shop at a place where they don't feel comfortable shopping because you vote with your dollars. Like whether you buy Cocokind or you buy another brand or you go buy Cocokind at Target or at Ulta or on our website, or like that is up to you and that's your agency, right? That's your power as a consumer. And I never want to take that away. At the same time, as a business, it's hard days there. And we, of course, have a customer base being a minority owned business that really cares about the values that we care about. And so when we heard the DEI rollback, like we were devastated and honestly confused and kind of like flabbergasted, like, why would this be the decision that they made? I will say that during that time, I put out a video, as you know, I always do, expressing that disappointment. And I remember our buyer, she emailed me with like a lot of words of support and encouragement and, kind of just doubled down on the fact that they were going to continue to support brands like us. So I think it's unfortunate because some of these decisions are being made in a room that like the people that we interact with at Target don't even know about until the public knows about. And I know for damn sure that the people that we interact with in our Target ecosystem are not happy with, those decisions. And at the same time, like we have a really big opportunity right now that Target made a big bet on us with our lip blur balms. Our lip balms went into the stores a week ago, and we have this beautiful side cap. That is an amazing opportunity. We've never had that at Target before. And by the way, it's very competitive there because unlike Ulta, like there's not that many like beauty end cap or side cap opportunities at any given point. Like Ulta, the whole store is beauty. Target, only a couple aisles are beauty. So at any given point, you have like small fraction of those type of opportunities compared to what you'd get at like a beauty retailer. So it really is a big deal that have this beautiful side cap going live. And what's really exciting is the side cap is actually going live for like 9 weeks or something. So it's lasting through October. Yeah, I'm excited to go there and see all the work that we put into this. I have such mixed feelings about it, but at the same time, I know how much that everybody on my team put into it and how much we're, also placing a bet on this opportunity. So it's a milestone for us. It's bittersweet. I haven't talked about Target in a while because I didn't really know how to approach it. We have to figure it out of like, what's that balance of supporting our business there because it is really important to us. It's a really important retailer to us in terms of our overall business with, supporting our customer base and supporting the values that we care about at the end of the day. So if you are going into Target and you're one of the community members that we have that are saying like, I'm going to shop really intentionally there and shop the brands. And I know I love that support the values that I care about. Like we appreciate you. We know it's not maybe so comfortable right now. We really do appreciate our support for our business at Target because it's definitely a very different story than our business elsewhere this year. Wow. Okay. That was a lot on one topic and I haven't even got to my Ask Me Anything, but yeah, that's just kind of like what we're managing through right now, literally right now in our business. And sometimes you just have like really tricky situations that you have to navigate. Okay, so let's get into Ask Me Anything. So I am going to just kind of get through as many as I can here. I have a list of questions that were submitted. So I'm going to start with Maggie. Maggie from Illinois. She asked, where did the name Cocokind come from? So funny story, maybe not so funny, but I had like no experience with branding or anything when I started Cocokind. Was only passionate about like, I don't know, my products. And someone had told me, I don't even remember who, someone told me that brands that start with the letter C end up being more successful because they sound more catchy. I honestly, I don't even know if it was someone, an article that I read. I have no idea, but I had this thought in my head like, okay, I got to find a brand name. I'm going to choose a brand name with a letter C. And I did separately always love the word kind. I always felt like it was like such an amazing adjective of somebody and how you can go about life. So I knew that I wanted kind in there. So then I was like, okay, at that time, out of the 5 products that we had one product with cocoa powder, the other one with coconut. I was like, oh, okay, it's like indicative of superfoods, which was like the core anchor of our ingredients at that time with those 5 products: the skin butter, the lip balm, the rose water, the cleansing oil, and the serum. And so I just was like, Cocokind, like, that sounds great. That's a lot of C's, alliteration in there. Got the kind in there. And on an airplane, I think to Michigan or something like that. I don't remember where I was going, but I was on an airplane and I was like, Cocokind. And I texted my friend Julie about it. I should find this text actually, because that would be really funny. So let me try to find that text and I'll read it to you in a future podcast. But that was basically how it was named. It was on a plane, and through some, I don't even know if it's true advice or not, that I heard or read somewhere that brand names with the letter C are more successful. Okay. Next question. Diana from Guatemala says, can you explain more about expiration date for products? Do we really only have 6 to 12 months to use them? That's a really good question. First, for the most part, cosmetic products don't really have expiration dates, but what it is like what we call shelf life. And when we talk about shelf life, it's because when we develop a new formula or a new product, we always do this thing called stability testing. Stability testing is when you finish a formula, you put in the like packaging that you choose, and use a third party lab to basically do this thing called a stability test. And also with that, a compatibility test. And that will be basically like, is your product going to be stable over time? And also, not only that, stable like in your packaging that you chose, because sometimes if you have a clear packaging, or you have plastic packaging or glass packaging, it can change the overall stability or compatibility of your product over time. And what you'll basically see is that we will put in our formula and our packaging into an oven, be like a room temp option at like 25 degrees Celsius, and then in its oven of like 40 degrees Celsius. 40 degrees Celsius is 104 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll put it into an oven, and sometimes we'll do even hotter than that actually. What happens is that when you put a product into an oven that's hot, it's what you call accelerated stability, where you can put a product into an oven, and for if it's really hot, that's indicative of how your product would act over a longer period of time. So maybe 1 month in an oven that's 40 degrees Celsius is indicative of how your product will act 3 months in room temp. Or if you put a product in an oven for 3 months, that might be indicative of 9 months, or maybe even a year. Maybe if you have it in 6 months in an oven, that might be indicative of 2 years. So every product that we do will go through the stability and compatibility testing. I'm actually looking, I just pulled up one right now for beginner retinol. And what we'll do is like, of course, we'll test for the overall formula and the integrity of the formula. We'll do a micro test on it to make sure everything's clear and the preservative is working. We will do like basically testing, like, did the appearance stay the same? The color, the odor, the pH, the specific gravity, the viscosity. Like viscosity is how thick or thin a formula is. And sometimes over time it might get more thick or it might get more thin. And so it's really important to make sure that that viscosity stays within your desired range through a long time. Packaging compatibility, as well as the percent weight loss or gain in the actual packaging. So those are all really important metrics that we look at when we do stability testing. This is not a regular ad. This is a useful ad, okay? I want you to think about the size of an eye cream. Eye creams are much, much smaller than moisturizers, maybe like 25 to 30% of the size, because you're using it on a much smaller area. But does this mean that the eye creams are 25 to 30% of the cost of a moisturizer? No. And that's because we will, of course, use more actives in an eye cream, and maybe a more expensive active or a higher percent of an active to achieve more efficacy. So a good example of this is in our peptide fine line eye gel, where we're using 3% of a peptide complex to target fine lines and wrinkles, another 2% of an active based on oats and barley for fine lines, and 2% of an active called fucus vesiculosis to target dark circles over time, and ceramide actives at 0.5%. It's packed. And if we put these actives in the same percent in a moisturizer that is 3 times the size of our eye cream, that product would easily have to be priced at over $50. So even though the eye cream is so much smaller than a moisturizer, it's actually around the same cost as a moisturizer to achieve the impressive benefits that we want the product to actually have. And we will mostly do stability testing to determine if a product is going to be stable and compatible within its packaging within a 2-year time frame. And we'll do that for every product right off the bat before launch. Then after that, we might continue that stability testing over time with more time, right? We might not have enough time to do a full year of stability testing or 9 months. And we then might do it longer and be like, okay, it's been in there for a year. It's all good. We now feel like we get the shelf life of the product can be 3 years or something like that, right? So the more time that we do it and the more it stays stable, the more confident we feel like saying like this product can be shelf stable, and we really feel like the integrity of the product is stable throughout a 3-year shelf life. Most of our products are 2 years. Some of our products are 3 years. Now, does the product just like disintegrate and fall apart after that like first day after the 2 or 3 year shelf life? Absolutely not, right? It's just what we've tested for, and that what we would feel comfortable as a brand like guaranteeing to our customers. So we every time we sell products, like our retailers have also a minimum of shelf life. We understand what batches we're sending out where to make sure that like just generally there aren't any products that are beyond that shelf life that are being sold to the market. That we're really trying to maintain that and watch our supply chain overall. It's quite complicated, but generally we are trying to manage that as well as our retailers too. Shelf life is different than period after opening. So if you look at our products, on the back of our products, there will be a little symbol and it will have like a 6 month or 12 months or some kind of like it'll be like 6M or 12M. And what that means is that like after you start using it, like how long do we feel comfortable that it'll be good after you open it and you're really using it? Because when you use a product, of course, you're just like you're exposing it to more things, whether it's air, your skin, your touch, your moisture, your humidity, like all that stuff. And it's basically saying like how long after you open it do we feel comfortable saying that, you can use this and it's still good. Is it again a hard stop? Like after that 6 months, at 7 month, it's going to be like completely disintegrating and bad for you? No. But you want to look at it. And if you're looking at it and you're like, okay, this looks like the same as I've been using, it smells the same, the appearance looks the same, like everything feels the same about it, you're going to be fine. But as a brand, of course, we want to make sure you have the best experience. And so, we want to put out these overall guardrails of how to use our products in a way that we've tested. We've done a lot of research, we've done a lot of testing to make sure that we can say that time period. So, yeah, I guess that's not the best answer because I'm kind of like, yes, but no. But hopefully that helps kind of break down what shelf life and period after opening dates are. Okay, Tiana here says, and Tiana's from Pomona around LA, and she says, I'd love to hear your take on what brands you see as your competitors and who you look to for a challenge. Cocokind is truly so unique in all facets that I don't really see one as a consumer, but I'm sure you have all the data that might show you who is on your radar. I know P mentions a lot that there is no reason to create a product that already is a hit on the market, so I know she's keeping up with the competition. Yeah, absolutely. Look, we have to keep up with competition as a team. I don't use other products. I'm not like testing all these different competitor products, but that's me. Doesn't mean my team isn't, because they have to stay in the know. They have to do the research. They have to understand what's out there in the market and make sure we're doing something that's really additive. They have to understand what's new and innovative and cool, and all respect due when we see someone, a peer, a competitor, come out with something that's like, that looks really cool, right? Like we're the first people to say that. Now, personally, I don't really like, I'm not so immersed in it because I personally feel like I like to have like a little bit of like a clean brain, clean mind, where I can maintain some of my originality. And so that sometimes we might build on a concept that already exists, or sometimes we might truly have like a unique concept. Something we're doing next year is a really unique concept that just came from, our minds. And there's an originality that I like to protect to make sure we're not just like constantly following trends or seeing what's out there and then kind of trying to one up. Like I want to maintain that originality. I actually feel the same way about content. And like when I look at other brands as like content and stuff, like I really don't try to do that because I like to stay original and I like to like protect my originality of thought. And it doesn't mean that other people on my team aren't, but because, we have to stay in the know for sure. But personally, I like to be a little bit more tunnel vision on Cocokind and our own innovation, our own originality. Now, who are our competitors? I want you to go to your bathroom. Anything that's not Cocokind is our competitor. Like, just go to your bathroom. Any other product that's not Cocokind, that's who I would consider is a competitor to us. Doesn't mean I'm ready to fight them. Doesn't mean I'm angry at them. Doesn't mean I hate them. Not at all. These are great companies for the most part. I'm sure I don't know every company that's a competitor of ours. At the end of the day, I respect competition. I think it makes us better and I think it's necessary. And there's a lot of it in the beauty industry. So if you're scared of competition, this is not for you. So I absolutely respect our competition. I think we all push each other to do more innovative, interesting, value add things for the customer. So I am not scared by competition, but of course, we want to be, when you open your bathroom cabinet, we want to be the skincare that you trust and have the most. So we want to win. Okay. Denise said, I started using, and Denise from Somers in New York. Denise said, I started using the beginner retinol. How do I know when I can advance to something stronger? It's really up to you. It's listening to your skin. The first thing I would do is like just see and make sure that you're using beginner retinol like every day, and because retinol can be used every day. So you make sure that you're first already there. If you feel like you're already using it every day, you're ready to step up, you have like more fine lines that you want to address in a deeper way, you're just ready for more power, then totally feel free. It's not a set time. It could be different for every person, but like first step is definitely like getting to a point where you're using beginner retinol every day. Then I would say for a lot of people, and I did this too myself, because I basically for the past 5 years have been like pregnant or breastfeeding or whatever. So I've just kind of been like on and off. And now I'm like fully back on my retinol routine. But like every single time after I've been been pregnant, I had to like rebuild it. So what I would do is beginner, then I would have this period of transition where I'd actually do like maybe like 3 days beginner retinol and then like 2 days, 3 days advanced. And then, I'd kind of build up to like I would stay in that while, but then build up to like more advanced. And now I basically do like 6 or 7 days advanced and maybe 1 day of beginner. So I'm fully, kind of on the advanced train at this point. But it's really up to you and your skin. And, feel free to stretch the advanced retinol and you don't have to use as much in the beginning. You can kind of use a lesser amount and you could definitely transition with the beginner retinol at the same time. I don't know if people realize this, but the beginner and the advanced retinol are basically the exact same formula, except for the 0.1% retinoid blend in the beginner retinol and the 0.5% retinoid blend and the same exact blend, the same ratio of those three retinoid in each of those products. So it's really the formulas are exactly the same, except for the percent composition of retinoids. Okay, Daphne from Mountain View, shout out Bay Area, said, "How do you manage being a mom of three and running a business? How do you have margin and have focused time for all the things outside of work, yourself, kids, husband, and friends?" I love that question. I'm so lucky because I grew up with a mom who's an entrepreneur. So I saw her going to work. I saw her kind of trying to do everything in between. My mom started as a clerk at this like kind of random like distribution company of like nuts and tools in Michigan that like they sell like a lot of like tools and like working gloves to like Ace Hardware, like stores like that, the distributors who sell to Ace Hardware. And it was a small business that she ran for many, 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 many years. She ended up like buying it from the previous owner. And then so started as a clerk, bought it from the previous owner and then ran that for a long time. And I grew up going to their office. And especially in that time, it's really rare to see a Asian woman running a business, in the 90s, and especially in a male dominated field. So that's a whole nother thing. Maybe I'll have my mom on a podcast one day. Trust me, she would love it. So she's ready for her spotlight anytime, anywhere. She'll stay ready for that. So maybe she'll come on here soon. But I saw her, of course, prioritize her family, but, have a really important, thriving career that she was really passionate about. So I think for me, like having that example, I think is really rare in our generation. And I think it's been a core reason why I felt always so comfortable being like, yep, I'm going to have my own company and no problem. Like, I want to be a mom. Like, I've always known that I wanted to be a mom and I come from a family of three kids. My husband comes from a family of three kids. So, both of us separately were like, yeah, we want three kids in our family. So I always knew that God willing, I would have three kids. I have a 4.5-year-old, a almost 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. We've been very busy and we have constant chaos around us. My day to day is pretty simple. I wake up, I do try to take advantage of the days as much as possible. So I'm an early riser. I wake up at like, 5:30 or so, 5 to 6 basically every day. I'll have a cup of coffee to myself. I'll go through some emails. I will maybe dial an East Coast teammate of mine. And then I will actually do like a very small, like nothing intense workout. Like we have an elliptical in our garage that we bought during COVID. And so it's like not that strenuous, but I do it and I'll like watch a show for 30 minutes, 40 minutes or so. And then starts the absolute chaos at like 7 because my kids wake up and then we do like this whole, hour and a half of like getting them ready for school, ready for the day. And then, dropping them off school and everything. And then I start my workday around 8:30. And then that goes to 5:30 and then 5:30 to, 7:38, which is when my kids go to bed. That's just all the kids stuff, cooking dinner, baths, bedtime, all that stuff. And then after 8 on a weekday, I might plug in and I will kind of have my iPad going where I'll turn on some ridiculous TV show that I wouldn't be proud of saying that I watch. I think people know that I'm like a reality TV stan and I love Bravo TV. Right now I'm watching The Summer I Turned Pretty. I went back to the beginning and I binged those seasons and oh my God, I'm really invested. And yeah, I'll put on TV and then I'll just like have my laptop here and I might like do some emails or catch up on some like quote unquote easier work or things that I just missed in my inbox. And then I'll go to bed at like 10 or 10:30 and then I'll wake up in the morning and do it all over again. At this current point in our lives, like my husband and I know we have very young kids at home and we have a lot of demands with our respective careers. So we kind of understand, although sometimes, might get a little bit like old, but we kind of understand that like this current moment in our lives, it's basically family and work, family and work. And of course, family includes our like my sister, my brother, my parents, and, my husband's side too. And, we do get to see them a lot. But that is really our focus, right? It's just family and work, family and work. Outside of that, we don't have that much time for like other things. And so in this current moment, we know that like having thriving social lives is not really that feasible because like on a Thursday, like I'm not gonna even like there's a lot of like networking dinners all the time in San Francisco for founders or whatever it might be. And like it's actually it just takes a lot for me to not be with my kids for bedtime routine and stuff like that. It's very hard for me to get me to do stuff like that. And sometimes I should, but in this current moment where my kids are so young, it just is a lot. So plus I travel a good amount, right? I travel like once or twice a month because of work. So that's already like me missing a good amount of bedtimes and mornings and stuff like that. So besides from work travel, I pretty much am at home. That's really what it is. So I do my best, but I don't feel guilt. I feel a lot of confidence in how much time I spend with my kids and my family. And I have a lot of confidence in what I do and how much time I spend in my career. And I feel lucky that I don't have like, kind of more of that turmoil when I shift from one to the next. I am a very like tunnel vision person. So when I'm doing this, I try to do that. And when I'm doing this, I try to do that with focus. I'm very lucky. I have an extremely supportive husband. My kids are supportive and we have support around us in so many different forms and would not be able to do it without that like support. And I have been basically a mom for the past 4.5 years. So almost half of my overall Cocokind journey. And I think I always say that if I didn't have my kids, I would be absolutely like crazy. If I didn't have my work, I would also be absolutely crazy. So for me, it's a very much desired balance and desired outcome for me to have two areas of my life that I care so much about in a way that I'm okay with just that. I don't need that much else. That was deep. Okay, next question. This is not a regular ad. This is a useful ad, okay? So I don't know if you know this, but during our product development, we specifically had people test our electrolyte water cream with a product that was 4 times its price and see which product people like better. Of course, not knowing what product they were testing. And literally 9 out of 10 people said that they liked our water cream better. Water creams are typically pretty expensive and they really don't have to be because let's break down what a water cream is. Water, hydrating ingredients, and ingredients to make it feel nice on skin. In our case, ingredients to calm and smooth. You should be able to get a good water cream for $20 and that's what our goal was in developing this product. So it took us a while to get it right, but for especially for our sensitive skin or oily or acne prone girlies, this really is a moisturizer that just really works and feels so good on your skin without breaking you out. Good skincare does not have to be expensive. I repeat, good skincare does not have to be expensive, even for moisturizers and water creams. Rose from Chesterton said, are there any brands that helped inspire Cocokind? Yeah, I think when I first started the company, I had been introduced to natural food brands, and there were so many entrepreneurs there that were changing the food industry and they were using better quality ingredients and building it from scratch and connecting with their consumers and being so authentic. And there's so many brands, across the board. I mean, one of the first entrepreneurs I met was Ian from Emmy's Organic. They sell these coconut macaroons. Siete Foods, like what they built has been amazing and just such nice people and really building their whole freaking business ground up. I just think it's so incredible and so inspiring. Whole Foods back in the day, back in the day before they were sold to Amazon, that was a very inspiring business story to me too of a brand that, I think we take for granted, but back then like Whole Foods was one of the few big businesses that was like trying to do things for all the stakeholders in their business, whether it was employees or, the environment or, all the different vendors that I felt like they were going above and beyond of like trying to benefit everyone in their business ecosystem, not just them. I really respected that in terms of showing that there could be businesses that were a vehicle for impact. That was really interesting to me. And I actually covered Whole Food stock when I worked at JP Morgan. I would cover their equity. And so, yeah, I just remember like being in a meeting with the management team there one time and feeling like really inspired. I mean, it was a business, you're a business for profit, but it doesn't have to be bad, and it doesn't have to mean that you're like the enemy of the people. At the time, I remember just really feeling like they were modeling how to be a business for profit that was good for the overall ecosystem. Now, I haven't kept up with them as a company in a long time. Of course, we're a vendor at Whole Foods. I know there's been a lot of changes since, they were sold to Amazon and everything. So I wouldn't be able to comment on it now, but back then it was very inspiring to me. Okay, Audrey from Tallahassee said, how do you fail successfully? You talk about failed products and how you encountered issues. How do you take that into Cocokind success? I think failure is one of the best learning lessons. And if you are a brand like us, or if you're a company like us where we're trying to do big things, like you can't try to do big things without experiencing failure. I just don't think that's possible. You can't try to be, added value, take risk in innovation, try to do something no one's done before without the occasional or maybe frequent failure. I think it's part of the job. It's part of the game. And that's why I don't feel good when it just looks like Cocokind is just succeeding left and right, because I know our team knows that we deal with failures regularly, right? It could be a small thing, or it could be a big thing, but we deal with challenges all the time, or we deal with things that we tried to do and then it just didn't work out the way we thought it was going to, or we spent some money and it was like, oh, we didn't get any return. Yeah, there's like, of course, like things like that, products that we were really excited about, put everything into development and just didn't work, or, started to work and then, for some reason declined over time. Like, these are all failures. I don't know. I think the word failure needs a rebranding because especially in the world of like, companies trying to do big things, because I think it's inevitable. And what's really important to me is that we don't like rest on our laurels and we look at that every single time and we're really critical about what can we do better? What's our learning lesson? Like, how do we take all of this and get not just like better, but like exponentially better? And I really take that as an opportunity to get better. I don't think we as a company would be here if we weren't like truly the most improved. Like, I think we started from like negative and with no money, no experience, anything. And so for us to be where we are today, it's like there's just a lot of failures that had to happen. And there was a lot of learning and taking that into consideration, pivoting and having this like relentless approach to getting better, because of our failures, from our failures to have successes. Like, that is just very much a part of our path. And I believe in that. And I would want us to continue having those opportunities, because I know that if we don't, we're not trying hard enough. And I also know that like if we continue to try to do big things, we also will have huge wins along the way that really kind of fuel us. So the failures kind of make us better. They improve us. They make us stronger. They build us over time. The wins for sure fuel us. They fuel the excitement. They fuel our energy and, all that stuff. So you kind of need to have both, but we're lucky that we do. I'm realizing that I've only answered like 7 questions or something, and we've already passed a lot of time. So let's see. We have Jillian from Los Angeles. How did you start going by P? Can anyone, even new people, call you P? Absolutely. Like, I love it when people call me P. Backstory here is that I don't like my name, Priscilla. I don't know if it's just like so different and weird and unique, but my parents immigrated from Taiwan. And when my mom was pregnant with me, she was watching a lot of Dallas. And I guess Priscilla Presley was in that show. And she was like, oh, she's so beautiful. And she's like, okay, Priscilla's going to be her name. I think that's the origin story. I forget. Anyways, my sister Valerie was named after somebody else too. And then my brother Brendan was named after the character 90210, which is just really funny. So yeah, I don't love my name. I always felt like kind of weird about my name growing up. And not only that, like when you have a name Priscilla, it's very prone to ridiculous nicknames all over the board. I remember our math teacher would call me Percy. I didn't love it, but he would just call me that. And then my brother calls me PC. And that's because my parents called me Precy when he was little. He's much younger than me. When he was little, he couldn't pronounce Precy or Priscilla, so he would call me PC. So my brother has literally never uttered the word Priscilla to me. Like, he would never. I am fully like PC to him. And then in high school and college, like on sports teams and whatever, people always call me like P Money, P Psy, Persassy. Like, I've had the most hilarious nicknames. And so I think it was like in my late teens or something, I was just like, just call me P. And I really started to just go by that to make it simple for people. So I like it when people call me P, because to me it feels endearing and like it's not so formal. And sometimes I feel like Priscilla is so formal. Haley said, what is your personal indication of success? That's a really good question. Somebody who, like, I'm very ambitious. I'm just like trying to get better every single day. And I love the sport of entrepreneurship. I really do. I think it's like makes me stronger. It makes me more resilient. It makes me smarter. I love looking back at my journey. I'm just thinking about all the trials and tribulations and all of my points of failures, all of my lowest points that, there are many, but also feeling like it's built a real strength in myself and endurance to be an entrepreneur, because it's not easy to be a long-standing entrepreneur. It really is. I mean, it's not easy to have a business over 10 plus years. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur dealing with those highs and lows for that long. And I'm not trying to do it for 10 plus years. I'm trying to do it for like 30. So like I have a long road ahead of me. So endurance is really important to me. And so success is like my journey as an entrepreneur. And as long as I continue to feel that way, I feel really successful. Personal success, I feel like, my family every day, I feel so lucky every day to have a career that I'm so passionate about, despite the hardest days, when I truly have like the days that I really don't post about it, I should, but the days that are frequent where I have like so much anxiety about something I can't sleep, or something that really took me down, or there's something that impacted me emotionally about work. There's so many things that could happen every day that you deal with, or maybe I didn't like the way I said something or acted, or I don't know, like there's so many things that you just kind of battle with on a daily basis, running a company and creating amazing, innovative products and taking the bets that we take and taking the risks that we take. And anyways, like even on those days, I would still 100% say to you that like I wouldn't rather do anything else. So yeah, I just feel very, very lucky. I wouldn't change a thing. And that is incredible. And I feel so grateful to be able to say that. Okay, Jacob from Boston said, I know you get this question a lot, but something about a scented flavored lippy from Cocokind specifically sounds so appealing and I feel would do so well. Okay. Not a question, but that was a comment from Jacob, and I'm fully there for that. And we are actually playing around. We're doing something so cool. I can't tell you yet, but we are going to be dabbling into the world of sensitive skin friendly flavors with our lippies soon. Not like so soon. So don't get too excited, but like medium term, I would say. Okay, I'm gonna just do a couple more questions here. Anna from Arizona, she said, for promotions like BOGO or percentage off discounts, who typically covers the cost, the brand or the retailer? What does a decision making process and timeline for those promotions look like? Okay, really, really good question, Anna. I love that because, yeah, the brand pays for promotion. So anytime you go into a store and you see that there's like a discount on a brand, it's the brand paying for that. Full stop. They're definitely not like funding our discounts or anything. What will happen is our retailers will buy products from us at our normal like cost, where let's say a lippy is $12, they might buy it for a little bit less than $6 or something from us. So we get a little bit less than $6 for every lip balm that they buy from us. And then let's say we discount it like 20%, they will basically charge us back that discount. So then we'll get a bill from the retailer for all of those like dollars that we have to fund of what was that discount basically. So we'll get a lot of bills from our retailers. Trust me. We have like a whole accounting team that's just like constantly dealing with the bills that we're getting charged from our retailers. It's a lot. And for those of you who are founders and maybe considering selling to retail, just know that like there's a lot of accounting and administrative focus that needs to be a discipline for your company because you will get so many chargebacks from a retailer. Oh, this case had the label on the wrong side. Boom, $5, per case. And you send them like 100 cases or something. Like, oh, like this came to our DC 2 days late because of weather. $10,000. Like there's so many like things, discounts and promotions or this whatever opportunity you get, but you're actually paying a ton for. Like there's a lot of dollars that go back and forth between a retailer and a vendor. Joy fittingly asked me, what has been bringing me joy lately? What am I most excited about in relation to Cocokind? It's just been seeing our community thrive here this year and all the fun things that we've been doing that I feel like have really resonated, whether it's our products or, our community marketing. Like that to me has been so awesome to see. And like we had a year like last year where like we didn't have a lot of like successes like that. And so we don't take it for granted. Like when we have a year where like we have products people are loving and our marketing, community activations people are loving, like it's really a rare combination. And that's not just us, like it's rare for anybody in the beauty industry right now. It's actually quite a hard year for people in the beauty industry. So for us to be having a year where we have some like special formula that's working, I definitely don't take that for granted, especially as an independent business where, we just are never going to be able to compete with the dollars of like large corporations or even like other independent businesses that just have like way larger marketing dollars. And so if we can be ourselves, I think that's the other thing I'm really proud of and I'm really excited about is like, I feel like this year, like we are so Cocokind and we're so ourselves more than we've been in many years. And so then to have like that work while feeling very authentic to ourselves, that's awesome, right? Like that's the dream, that's the goal. So it gives us like the ability to double down on ourselves, which is like that's literally what we're saying to you all day every day is like we just want you to be yourselves. We want you to feel good being yourselves here. And so for us to, feel that way and also see results, right? Because we are a business, we have to see results. Like for us to see results, like being ourselves, like that actually is a dream. So that is what I think is so rewarding about this year. And hopefully, we'll double down on that even more next year. Like that's one thing I'm excited about next year because oh my gosh, we have so much planned in a way that like I actually never keep my mouth shut, but I actually am going to keep my mouth shut because it's like so exciting and so different, so new and fun. And oh God, like there's so much happening because, right now we're already deep in planning 2026. Like I fully am done with 2025. My whole brain is on like 2026. I'm on like October 2026 right now. So I'm fully in 2026 land and I'm very excited about everything we have planned. Okay. I think this is going to be my second to last question. Anna from Philadelphia said, what is your favorite shade of the lip blur balm? So my two shades are the clear Be Real and Be Kind, which is the pink. I will say like we do have some new shades and stuff coming and a lot of them are becoming my new faves. But yeah, like I think those are my two because I take a little bit less like chances on my makeup look, I guess, every day. And so I'm definitely someone who likes to keep it like a little bit more simple. But I don't know. I've been having fun with Be Powerful and Be Bold too. But for the most part, I tend to stick to Be Real and Be Kind. Okay, I'm going to take my last question here. And this is Kayla from Wisconsin says, would you consider changing the packaging of the ceramide serum from a dropper bottle to something with a pump? Dropper bottles are messy and not enjoyable to use. So totally. I've seen this comment before and we are looking into it actually. It's kind of like a whole thing when you have to change a packaging like that because it's a big change and you like change the carton of the product, which means that like at a retailer you have to discontinue the current one. It's just very, very involved. It takes a long time to make something like that happen. But I do think that there is some improvements to be had in the experience of our ceramide serum that we're working on right now. We're kind of still knee deep in like testing it all and kind of validating our thoughts and our thesis to like how do we make this even better of a product. I know so many people love it and trust me, we're not changing the bones of the ceramide serum, but like some example like the packaging is like a great great example of something that I think that we could improve it to improve the user experience and, try to have more people use it more enjoyably. So definitely that is on our radar, and I get it, especially like with the electrolyte water cream being in a pump. I have been totally sold on the whole pump component and the functionality of it because it's just so nice not to have to use like two hands to use something and just to kind of be able to quickly dispense it like that. So at the same time, you could have more issues with pumps, like in pump malfunctions and stuff like that. So when we do our AQLs, we have to like do those are like quality test of our packaging and stuff. Like it has to be like really, really strict on the testing protocols for pumps. But yeah, I think that there's probably something maybe in 2026 that we'll be transitioning to. So stay tuned on that. Okay, I think I got through, I don't know, I ended up doing a lot last minute. So I think I got to, I don't know, at least 10 questions, but not as many as I thought I was going to. And I still have a lot more questions that I thought I was going to answer here today. So I will just do another one probably in like the next 4 to 6 weeks. I'll do another Ask Me Anything. We'll elicit more questions too. I hope this was informative in like a weird, random, all over the place way today. If there's something that you want me to dig in further, let me know. But otherwise, I will see you next week. Thanks for listening.